Hello and welcome. My name is Roger Quayle, and you are listening to My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts. Hello there, and welcome back to My Life in the Mosh of Ghosts with me, your host, Roger Quayle, and thank you for joining me. For today's episode, we're going back to the snowy spring of April 1981, and for 2 nights on the road with Killing Joke. I'll be honest, I did not like this band at all back in 1981. However, looking back now, I can see that there was a beautiful terror in the almighty racket that they made back then. But at the time, this was a hard slog. So let's push on. We're going out with Killing Joke at the Kilburn National Ballroom in London on the 28th of April. And then 2 nights later, we're at the Tower Ballroom in Birmingham on the 30th of April 1981. Here we go.
Killing Joke? It'll be like United away at Millwall. Adrian Street versus Giant Haystacks. Jesus at Golgotha. We'll get crucified.
Following DVA's decent away performance at Bauhaus's Coven in the caverns under Charing Cross Station in March, Fetish Records boss Rod has been hustling to get us on the Killing Joke tour. I think it's a terrible idea. There's us with our blue tones and impressions of African winters. And there's Killing Joke, a boot stamping on a fuzz pedal, forever. Even their names, Jazz, Pig Youth, Geordie, Big Paul, suggest a Spirit of 76 punk rock gang. The Bash Street Kids, redrawn by Friedrich Nietzsche. Rod tells me that David Byrne loves our album. So, if that's the case, why can't we go on tour with Talking Heads? Someone, a bit more cerebral. Machinations ensue. The tour is on. Boo. The tour is off. Hooray! The tour is on, but we're only doing 2 of the shows. Then the coldest spell of weather since 1908 hits the UK, and everything, gigs, work, public transport, schools, sport, is off. Thank you, Jack Frost, for this nationwide headline whiteout, and what seems like a final reprieve. However, as self-appointed harbingers of the imminent global Armageddon, Stormtroopers Killing Joke aren't about to let a bit of weather interrupt their plans for UK domination. 8:45 on Tuesday morning, and there is our saxman Charlie at the front door. Mum and Dad don't have a telephone. With news that tonight's gig in London with Killing Joke is on. Later, after much umming and ahhing over pints in the Beehive, while a van driver is found, we eventually head south across the Trent Valley tundra en route to London. Formerly the Grange Cinema, the Kilburn National Ballroom, owned by 3 brothers from Tipperary, is usually a crack and ceilidh house for show bands entertaining the local Irish community. So, for this traditional Celtic venue, tonight is something of a tentative foray into the world of alternative rock. Loading complete, I wander over to the Better Badgers stall and buy a Beat Psychedelic Rockers button.
Selling many DVA badges?
1 or 2.
What's popular down here?
Adam and the Ants. Ant music. Whip my valise.
Killing Joke's fans are largely young lads with short crops or spiky tops, clad in leather jackets. I haven't seen a tribal gathering like this since the Futurama Festival in Leeds last September. Punk's not dead, apparently, so it looks like the exploited are onto something. We get heckled. One oik takes great delight in throwing lit matches, little flaming arrows of indignation, at us for the duration of our set. We shuffle off in search of our £85 fee. Kilburn National barely summons up a shrug of indifference. If our band runs on a policy of détente, Killing Joke appear to operate on the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. They all seem to loathe each other, but appear to thrive on the tension this creates. Everyone, both band and crew, seems to be united in their fear of the drummer, Big Paul. Killing Joke launch into War Dance, which is basically Sham 69 after reading Sven Hassel. Singer Jazz has saddled himself with a synth the size of a sideboard. To compensate for being rooted to the spot, he's devised a strident marching dance. In his head, this might represent Iron Curtain forces pouring into Schleswig-Holstein. In reality, it resembles an Alsace vintner stomping down a resilient vat of Riesling grapes. From time to time, when Jazz strides, eyes ablaze, to centre stage and berates his vandal hordes, he's an unlikely hybrid of Fagin from Oliver and the crazy world of Arthur Brown. Sideburns shaped like daggers, Big Paul triggers the disco handclaps for Follow the Leaders. Cue furious codo pounding and thick as thugs riffing from guitarist Geordie, a pointillist Robert Plant with a mop of blonde hair, and sludgy bass from Sid Vicious clone Youth. Killing Joke are volume junkies, as subtle as a dawn raid by the SPG. Change is their own clipped, terse variant on the Me and Baby Brother riff, which every alternative rock band doing punk funk is borrowing, us included. After a while, this relentless death by decibels starts to get very samey. Like the 10 plagues of Egypt, except that God just keeps sending locusts. And I'm thinking, come on lads, weird it up a bit. Send us some frogs. Or darkness for 3 days. Go on, get moody. Take it down a gear. Someone must be listening, because the menacing synth throb of Requiem oozes out into the hall, and the band fall into its sombre, ponderous beat. Geordie smears another paint stripper lick, and the walls of the old picture house shake. Down on the dance floor, 500 spiky seal cubs gaze up in awestruck wonderment as the bloody club comes down and down again. Two days later, and the snow is gone. The Tower Ballroom in Birmingham is a large ex-Mecca nightclub with fake palm trees, a revolving stage, and panoramic windows overlooking Edgbaston Reservoir. Killing Joke are travelling down from Liverpool no doubt scanning the horizon for incoming ICBMs and mushroom clouds. In our van, I'm more curious to see if we might bump into Warwickshire and England paceman Bob Willis. Backstage, Youth is sprawled on a sofa. Having survived an extreme acid trip last year, one which resulted in him burning money on the streets of Kensington and Chelsea, and then being hospitalised and enduring ECT treatment, he's something of a sorry figure, a slender, almost spectral presence. He's been wearing the same white suit all year, eating, sleeping, gigging, travelling in it. He looks like the man from Del Monte, after being dragged backwards through every orange grove from Miami to Monterey. He smells of fast food, farts, and no fucks given. And dope, a little cloud of cannabis, hovers above. It's hard to tell where the suit ends and youth begins. Nevertheless, he lets Judd use his bass amp and cabinet, which is the size of a wardrobe. We duly twitch and scratch for 40 minutes in front of a couple of hundred impassive brummies. When the Lions can't be asked to maul the Christians, something's up. But wait, we meet a fan.
That song, White Cell, is it about Nick Life?
Pardon?
Nick Life? Prison? My boyfriend's inside now, and he loves that song. Have you used on time?
No. It's about the Marquis de Sade.
Oh, was he banged up as well?
Killing Joke ignite war dance once again, to be greeted with that traditional Birmingham welcome, spitting. What year is it here? Impervious to the showers of gob, Killing Joke pour down toxins from their brutalist, asbestos-lined, lead paint tower block of noise, contaminating Birmingham into baneful submission. It's the last night of the tour. Killing Joke head back to their communal crash pad in Notting Hill to wound their licks. We end up lost, both literally and figuratively, in Burton-on-Trent at 3 a.m. Following the release of their second album, What's This For?, Killing Joke went back on tour around the UK, which brought them to Sheffield Polytechnic in July. After the gig, they were interviewed by local fanzine, NMX. NMX, what do you think about Sheffield?
It's the end of the world. I hate it. I'd like to see a bomb dropped on it.
NMX, what about Sheffield music? Cabaret Voltaire.
Well, I admire the spirit. I sympathise. A lot of it sounds like Pink Floyd. Well, you know what I mean. It's all sort of in your head, like Joy Division. You sort of stand there and watch it all and listen to it. It sort of don't motivate you to do anything. Clock DVA supported us once. Birmingham.
Fucking horrible band.
Clock DVA, Cabaret Voltaire and more fucking Clock DVA. Why do you like it in Sheffield anyway? It's so depressing. I think it's a fucking hole. A hole of holes. Can I have your earring?
You have been listening to My Life in the Mush of Ghosts with me, your host, Roger Quayle. Thank you to Paul for the guest voice, thank you to Simon for the intro and outro music, and to Rena for the artwork. No Brummies were harmed in my mauling of their accent. Join me again next time for another episode from my life in the Mosh of Ghosts. This is Roger Quayle saying thank you and bye-bye.